Welcome in then to the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio by Shaka, Hislop and Stevie Nicol. Julien Laurent will be with us shortly. Of course, the big story at the moment, there is no soccer. Of course, the coronavirus still very much the main headline around the world. This is what's going on as it stands in our industry. The Premier League, EFL and Serie A are suspended until April the 3rd. Now, the Premier League will meet on Thursday to discuss the season's future. UEFA have suspended next week's Champions League and Europa League matches. They're going to meet on Tuesday to discuss that possibility of postponing Euro 2020. Bundesliga suspends this weekend's matches. They're going to meet on Monday to decide whether or not to postpone until April the 2nd. Ligue 1 is suspended indefinitely. La Liga, Eredivisie is suspended for the next 2 match days. MLS suspends season for the next 30 days. Let's welcome Julien Laurent into the show. Jules, let's talk about this meeting that the Premier League are going to have on Thursday. Obviously, it's all kind of conjecture at the moment, but what are you expected for them to discuss and what conclusions do you think they'll reach?
So I think the conclusion won't be reached on Thursday. I think there will be many more meetings, many more debates on what to do next, really. They're doing it on Thursday because they want to wait for Tuesday's UEFA meetings and knowing a bit more what's going to happen with the Euros, with the Champions League and the Europa League. And then from there, take it from there, basically, between themselves and see what's the best option, what kind of direction you want to go to. Because obviously there's more than just one option, more than just one scenario of what can happen next. For example, we could not play maybe any football between now and September, like a few clubs seem to believe. The season could resume maybe, let's say, in June, and then we finish the season and the Champions League and the Europa League. Instead of playing the Euros, we then will be moved to another date. And in that case, this season, 1920, finishes, and then we start the next one maybe with a little delay. That's another option. Some clubs, West Ham is the first one officially to announce that they would like the season to be completely null and voided, to mean that basically 1920 didn't count, never counted. There's no champions, there's no relegation, there's no promotion, there's nothing, and we go again next year with the same teams. Obviously, Liverpool and a few others will be completely against that. So you can expect a lot of debates, a lot of controversy, a lot of arguments before we can reach a solution.
What will happen, Jules? Will there be a vote? Who decides it amongst these Premier League clubs?
Well, you would think that the 20 Premier League clubs will have to vote for some sort of resolution and that the majority will win, if you want. So, for example, let's say, Liverpool are crowned champion, but the season stops here and the top 4 are the ones qualifying for the Champions League, the bottom 3 are the one, going down, that kind of thing. Then you would need at least half of the clubs to vote for it, and then the majority will win, and that's what we would do. I think that would be the best way. However, it's obviously far more complicated than that because, let's not forget, there's also a lot of financial implication in whatever is going to happen next because there's still a lot of games to be played home and away, so you lose out on money. The TV rights would not be paid if those games are not scheduled, not played, and not on television. Obviously, same for the European competition. So for some clubs, there's a lot of money to lose there, and or at least not to be made. So again, you would have to take that in consideration as well. So I think if there's a resolution put on the table, the clubs will vote for it. If there's a majority, that could be accepted. But it might be even more complicated. We could go 2/3. We'll have to vote for it. There's a lot of things, obviously, because there's no protocol. That's the big thing. Because nothing like this ever happened before, there's no protocol. I mean, I think there was an example in Chile last season with the riots where the league was ended 6 games before the end, which maybe they could have a bit of inspiration from. But again, it's never seen before, so it'd be very hard to find a protocol.
It's interesting you mentioned the financial implications, and from a Premier League's perspective, obviously there's a lot of discussion about the Euros and what's going to happen there. But aren't the Premier League in charge of their players in a sense that, I tell you what, when this resolves itself, we are going to play this league until it ends. I don't care about the Euros. I don't care about what commitments you have internationally because we pay the wages of the players, and therefore, surely we can decide what we're going to do and kind of disregard what UEFA want.
Yes, you're right. And I believe the 55 federation that will meet, not physically, but that will be together over the phone on Tuesday morning with UEFA that's why each of them will say, hang on a minute, you know, our leagues have to have the priority here ahead of the Euros and ahead of whatever UEFA wants to do, because, like you said, the bread and butter of all those players and of all football really right now is the leagues, not the European Championship, where, you know, only a few countries will be represented. So I think that would be the stance from the club point of view. UEFA obviously will try to negotiate in the best way for them, which you understand. And financially, you're right. There's also another point that is very interesting, is what you do with financial fair play. Because let's say that there's no Champions League games anymore, or there's no football left in this season at all. A lot of clubs will say, hang on a minute, what do I put in my accounts then? Because it's not my fault if we miss out on 50, 60, 70 million euros more than what we're going to have. So do we still have to balance the book, although we lost that money, but not of our own fault? So UEFA will also have to have an opinion on that, on saying, okay, you know what, maybe for next season, financial fair play is voided, because we can't try to balance the books and ask clubs to do that if they miss out on some money because of coronavirus. It would be stupid to do that.
Karen Brady obviously coming out and making the point regarding her club, West Ham.
I wonder why. Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that they're sitting equal third bottom?
Do you think she was owner of Liverpool, she'd be saying the same thing?
Absolutely not. No, I think we can disregard what she said because of where she is. That is the main reason.
With regards to how you would like to see it completed, Shaq, and I know it's all conjecture and we don't know how long this is going to be, and we're not being flippant about it, but it's a discussion that people are having.
And you have to have this week. Listen, just the professional in me would like to see games be played, this league season come to some kind of a conclusion. That's just, if I were a player and I was sitting in the position that Liverpool were, for instance, that's what I would want. I don't want to win my first title after 30 years and has an asterisk next to it. All that being said, I think somehow the leagues have to figure out how they bring this league season to a conclusion, because so much is at stake, a lot of which Jules spoke about, how much it means to clubs at the top end of the table in terms of financial fair play, how much it means to clubs at the bottom of the table in terms of staying in the Premier League. If you're Leeds or West Brom, you want to, and you sit on top of the table, you want to get promoted because of how much that means. If you're sitting in anywhere between 3rd and 6th in the Championship, similarly. Also, and Jules started talking about in terms of financial fair play and UEFA, Manchester City, who, as we said before this became an issue, were suspended from next season's Champions League. Yeah. Now, no Champions League between now and the end of the season. What position does that leave them in? Do they get to compete next season? Does the suspension start in 2021? I just feel that there are so many unanswered questions that, listen, this is unprecedented. Nobody could have anticipated this. But somehow you feel that you have to figure out a way to shoehorn the end of this season in.
Surely the only realistic thing to do is, once we get over the coronavirus, it has to be played out. Yeah. The games have to be played, whether it's Premier League, First Division, all the way down, because that is the only fair way. Because if you do it any other way, somebody is going to get buried with it.
I think the challenge with that is where? In which window do you fit these games in? And listeners, as much as I've said earlier this week that I felt that the Euros would be cancelled, you have to move that to some of 2021. But now, today, Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, has come out and said the Olympics are going to go ahead as scheduled. I know that's a little bit later on in the summer in August. But does that now change the thinking of UEFA in terms of their hosting the Euros in this summer? It's such a fluid situation.
But what happens, out of interest, if you were playing for Scotland and Liverpool said, look, we're not going to let you go to the Euros because we want you to stay here, make a stand, and we're going to finish this season.
I would absolutely stay there. Listen, it's your bread and butter. The domestic leagues around the world are way far more important than the Euros or anything else. It has to be your bread and butter, no question.
I don't think we get to that. I think this has to be in concert. Everybody has to agree on what's done and when, because of the implications. And as much as, yes, we're talking about UEFA and the Euros here, but UEFA are also the head body in terms of the Champions League. And if we talk, using Liverpool as the example, how do you say to somebody, well, you can't represent your club even though listen, I understand the position at Liverpool, hypothetically, because you're on the cusp of finishing the Champions League, so you're putting that in some kind of jeopardy for a European competition. Everybody, every single domestic league and UEFA have to agree on a solution.
I think the easy solution would be just to move the Euros.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, most of the top players, certainly in the Premier League and the top leagues around the world, players are only getting 4 or 5 weeks holiday anyway. If this takes 4 or 5 weeks to sort out, you forget the Euros, and then you just have to start the league again once you've finished the last season.
Jules, just quickly, obviously this meeting is on Tuesday. Do you think it will get cancelled?
I think I think the Euros will be moved to the following summer, 2021, like Shaka just said. And I think instead of that time slot, we will finish the leagues and we will finish the Champions League and the Europa League, which should not take that long, to be fair. The only problem, and I think we need to get prepared for the worst, is the problem is not UEFA and the meeting on Tuesday or Thursday, is when the virus will stop and when people and scientists and doctors will say, okay, now we can go out and play again and have crowds and have this and have that. And the problem is that could be, for all we know, in September or in October. So I think we need to get prepared for that worst, but it could also get better sooner, and then we'll be hopefully on time to finish all those games and then have a bit of holidays and then start again the following season, maybe in September or October.
And of course, we'll be here every day to bring you all the latest as and when it breaks regarding any decisions on the future of football regarding the coronavirus. It had been a while, it had been a long time coming, and PSG booking a place in the quarterfinals last week after that dramatic victory against Borussia Dortmund in Paris. Of course, something they failed to do on the last 3 occasions in Europe. Julien Laurent, obviously we learned before that you were at Anfield, so how did you follow this? How did you react to this with your PSG ways?
I had the PSG game on the iPad in the press box, and obviously when Neymar scored the first goal, I went mad and I got up like this and I celebrated, and then it was still 0-0 at Anfield, and people in the crowd were turning around. The journalists behind, they knew what was happening, but the Liverpool fans were looking weird like that. What is he doing? It's 0-0 here. There's not even a chance or something like that. But I thoroughly enjoyed that night, not so much for Liverpool, but watching PSG on the iPad and them winning was sweet.
We had Frank Leboeuf eating some humble pie when it came to Neymar. I imagine he hasn't been the only one over the last few days. Yeah,
that's right. And I think it's not so much the performance that he put in, because I think we expect there was expectations for him to deliver. Finally, let's not forget that the last 2 seasons he never played the last 16-second leg because he was injured in both games against United last season and against Real Madrid the season before that. This time he was there, and I think the club and his teammates, the fans, wanted him to qualify the team. In many respects, he did that. But it's also the passion that he showed, the communion with the players and also with the fans at the end. That showed that he likes the club, he likes being there. And I think there was a lot of people in France that maybe didn't really believe it before the game, or that he could do it, or that he would feel that way had they qualified. And everybody knows that they haven't won anything. It's only the last 16, but I think this game, especially for him, it meant a lot for him because of what happened the last 2 seasons and because of what people have been saying about him.
Jules, where does this come from? It's taken 3 years, and we're saying, oh, he loves the club now, and he really likes his teammates now, and he's really having fun now, and he's really producing now, and it's taken 3 years. What's brought this change on all of a sudden?
You're right. I mean, I don't know why, because for me, it should have never been like, there should never be having something that made him change that way. I think from the day he wanted to leave Barca, and let's not forget, he's the one who called PSG to say, I want to come to you. It's not the other way around. So he initiated that move, and then he got it and he was not happy. Or Paris was not good enough, or the weather is not good enough, the nightclubs are not good enough, or the league is not good enough, and this and that. And there was always something. And then obviously he got injured the first season. Second season, same story again. Then he tried to move and tried to leave in the summer, and now suddenly Paris is much better, the city is much better, he's having more fun, people are nicer with him, and all that kind of thing. I don't really know what the turning point was.
So when the
fact is, right now, he seems genuinely happy.
In a couple of weeks, when the wind blows off the Atlantic to the left, it might change again. Basically. Right?
It might change again, and
Isn't
if they get knocked out whenever that quarterfinals is
just
played.
fickle? If you win, we love you. If you don't, isn't that as simple?
No, it's him. Never mind football fans. It's him. If he wins and he scores a goal, it's all me, me, me. I'm the happiest man alive.
Yeah.
When it all goes wrong, I need to get out of here. I'm not happy.
It's not a surprise. Listen, you know how fickle football fans are, and you play to that. And I think that's exactly what Neymar's doing.
Jules, something, of course, which, of course, grabbed the headlines that upset.
He put a photo on social media saying him of the referee with him with the two fingers like this and said, oh, when the referee asked me how many goals Haaland scored against PSG, that's 2. And then, ha, 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 that's funny. So they did the same. They trolled PSG after they beat them in the first leg. So don't tell me that you can't expect to be trolled yourself if you lose the second leg and if you get knocked out, because that's what you did. Emre Can after the first leg said, oh, in the quarterfinals, I want to play Juventus. Hang on, what quarterfinals? You've got another game to play, mate. This is not over. And then last weekend saying, oh, we don't buy superstars, we make them. Well, you can make them next season in the Champions League, mate, because for that, it's over. You don't make superstars in this current Champions League.
Oh, Jules!
This is what I know. I prepared this one because I knew
Jules.
the question was coming, so I prepared it before. And that's just that. If you troll, get ready to get trolled. If you lose the next game, that's the way it is.
Quickly.
It's like being back at school. If you can't take it, don't give it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Dortmund did.
Yeah.
They gave it, and then they don't like it when they get it back.
I have to
no
admit,
problem
I
with
was
it.
critical of PSG's reaction, but
Why?
Because I didn't.
Jules has persuaded him.
No, I had no idea that Dortmund did all this. None. I just didn't follow it, and I make no apologies for that. But hearing the explanation, now I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Right.
Okay, well, let's remind you of how things look regarding the odds if and when the Champions League kicks off again. PSG third favourites, 5-1, behind Manchester City, Bayern Munich. Is Haaland against Mbappe the new rivalry? There was a lot of trolling between the two during the Champions League tie. Jules, you got angry about this earlier.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, no, I mean, during the show, I didn't get angry. I just explained the facts, and someone like Shaka, who didn't follow it closely, for example, that was good. He found it useful, so it's good. Regarding the question,
you did go red, Jules.
I didn't.
It's like the time you
But
shouted Ian
I
Dart.
do believe that Haaland and Mbappe could be the next duel, if you want, for best player in the world. A bit like the Cristiano and Messi kind of rivalry. I think there could be something in that. I think Gab wrote something about that a few weeks ago as well. And if you think about it, I think at some point both of them will leave their current club to go to something bigger. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we might have one at Real Madrid and the other one at Barcelona. And then we would have a sort of a remake of a 2.0 version of the Cristiano-Messi rivalry.
Were there rivalries like that in your days, boys? As in, like, I suppose the Messi-Ronaldo one for my generation is what we've seen so much of.
Your generation.
Yes, Shaq.
Go up to us.
Eh? Well, you're 55. That doesn't count.
No, but it wasn't as built up and as commercial as it is today.
Right.
That's part of the problem. Because people are desperate to grab onto things and make something that might or might not be there, regardless.
Us pretty much every day.
Yeah. I think during our day the rivalries were between clubs, and it was just about clubs. Right. Now all of a sudden it's become about the individuals, which for somebody in my age bracket is tough to understand.
I suppose you have managers as well. Fergie against Keegan.
Yeah,
that
was just 1 or 2 seasons. That wasn't a long-lasting thing. That was just about...
But more than players.
Yeah. It was about clubs. You know, as I said, the Fergie Keegan thing was 1 season.
Jules, would you copy Neymar's pink haircut if it guaranteed PSG the Champions League win?
Yeah, 100%. I can do the show with my pants as well, like Gary Lineker did when Leicester...
Why would you do that? No one has asked for that.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
Jules just wants to come in and Barcelona. Jules just wants to strip off and come in and do this show. That's all.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, you can just imagine the body. It would look good still. But we can. I'm happy to agree. Pink hair if PSG win the Champions League.
Right, good. Keep your clothes on.
Yeah. Would you like to see Stevie do this show in just his pants if it guaranteed a PSG win? That's the question.
Oh, what a moment. Shaka.
Yeah?
Or Black or Ter Stegen?
Ooh. I'm still leaning Ter Stegen.
Aye?
Mm-hmm. Looking at me like you want an explanation. You give me an A or B answer, I gave you my answer.
I quite like an explanation.
No, I'm not giving you one.
Oh. Would you take Bruno Fernandes in the Liverpool team?
Ooh. Yeah.
If so, who's he replacing?
Who's getting the
yeah.
Because last time you said you would have Maddison over Wijnaldum in the summer.
No, and I never said that at all. There's a surprise. we clever Dick trying to make stuff up.
You got in all kinds of trouble. Got all kinds of trouble for that last time.
You know he's lying when he does that. He loves that.
I think you did say that, though.
The question was, which one of the three would go if you had Maddison? And I said Wijnaldum. I think I'd have to give you the same answer.
Right.
Wijnaldum.
So Wijnaldum, Bruno Fernandes or Maddison, who are you taking?
Ooh. Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He's been fantastic, hasn't he?
Yes.
Has Stevie...
No serious look there, what?
No.
Just the
You're
headline.
all over the place today. You're smiling, you're serious, you're making up stuff. You always make stuff up.
But you see now, in 6 months' time, I would say to you, oh, but you said you'd have Bruno Fernandes over Wijnaldum, and you go, no, I didn't.
That's not true.
We'll see.
You just made that
6 months' time. Because that's what you said about
No,
Maddison.
you try to predict the future. Jeez.
Has Stevie stocked up on crisps and mints?
No, we get no crisp in the house at all.
Which could be good for the new diet.
Yeah, but making up for it another week.
A new diet? Is there another diet? You're in another diet?
No.
No, so the diet's completely off the table.
It's gone. It just so happens that we've eaten all the crisps and we've decided not to get any more.
Why not?
Because then we just eat them.
Right.
This is for a new diet.
No, just trying to be sensible.
Look at me.
Well, okay, good.
Because if we get them, we'll eat them.
Yes.
If we don't get them, then I
Right.
can't eat them.
That's great logic.
It's absolutely spot on logic.
Stevie, what's more important, centre backs or goalkeepers?
Ooh. I guess that's a tough one because you could argue that the greatest centre back can stop the goalkeeper even being involved, or you could say that if a goalie makes a mistake, then you're pretty much done. So, it's a tough one.
It's goalkeepers. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows.
The problem is, so who's more important to Liverpool, Alisson or Van Dijk? If you go off what happened during the week in the Champions League, then you'd have to say Alisson. But then here's my argument I just gave you. If you're that good, then the goalkeeper doesn't become involved.
But then Van Dijk is that
But then
good.
the game, Van Dijk was playing, and the goalkeeper did become involved. So through getting through it all, you got to say the goalkeeper.
Well, Alisson's more important than Van Dijk.
Yes.
You know some of what Stevie I liked. Good answer, Stephen.
Thank you.
Jules?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Stevie took a long way there before saying Alisson was better than Van Dijk, but yeah, I'll go for goalkeepers as well.
Final question.
So should Alisson have been third in the Ballon d'Or voted instead of Van Dijk?
That is a very good question. You should write in the question, chat.
Inquiring minds would like to know.
And why has only one goalkeeper ever won the Ballon d'Or?
I don't know.
Because they're underrated, Shaka. Very underrated.
And underappreciated.
Yes.
Will Shaka's beard, this is the final question, will Shaka's beard ever reappear?
I hope not.
I don't think so. I don't think so. So the first time I grew it, because my wife used to encourage me, like, you know, grow a beard, it'll be nice. Remember, you used to have a little mustache back in college, right?
You used to have a mustache back in college?
Yeah.
I tell you what, we need to get a picture of that out. You've got to get us a picture.
Wait, so
A moustache.
the reason I'm laughing is that we've got a new producer today who just goes, ask Jules if he's ever had any facial hair.
Jules, have you ever?
Nah. I mean, look at this pretty face. You know, it has to stay Clean
you
shave.
don't want to cover it up.
I don't want to cover that up.
No, you don't want to cover that up, Jules.
No.
That's why I thought my wife wanted me to cover mine up. And then when I started, I was telling you all, when I started growing it earlier this year, and I said to her, thinking about growing my beard again. She's like, not that big again. Can't stand that thing. And so I was like, all right, well, that's the end.
Our producer wants to ask him about manscaping as well. We're not doing it. We are not doing it.
If PSG win Champions League, what?